Hey, what's up, everybody? Greetings from the U.S. Embassy in Kabul, Afghanistan. Fridays are my only day off, so what I like to do sometimes is get up and go shopping. One of the spots I like to hit is this little shop where they sell like glasses, bags, watches, and stuff like that. Anyway, when I first got here, I hit that shop up, and I met the owner. He's this young guy, and we just sort of, had small talk. But today, when I went in there, it started to rain really bad, and actually hail started coming from the sky. So I was kind of forced to just sit in there longer than I wanted to. So while I was in there, me and the owner began to converse. Now, this is a young man. I would have guessed that he was like 30. But when I started to talk to him, he told me he was 22. And so when I told him about how I was in Afghanistan back in the day, like 10 years ago, I was in the Air Force and I was in Bagram, and he told me back in those days that he was actually working. He showed me a certificate on the wall, and it had a picture of this little kid. And he said he had been out there working and hustling since he was like 7 or 8 years old. I was like, really? So what he did, he said, yeah. Now at this time, like I said, he's 22 years old. He owns his own little shop here that's open like 6 days a week. And he pointed to the shelf, and it had these little postcards there. And he told me that, he says, when I was 7 or 8, I remember because I lost my tooth. He said, I used to go out every Friday, and I used to sell postcards. Now, reason being is, he has 2 brothers and 3 sisters, so 6 kids in his family, and he's the oldest. And I said, wow, man. He said, yeah. He says, my family was very poor, and I had to go out and I had to help them. Now, he says over time, he went from selling postcards to selling necklaces and DVDs and whatnot. And he was only allowed to go on these military bases because you have main bases and then you have these little camps all over Afghanistan, right? He would go to these places and sell, and eventually he was able to get his own little stand at a bazaar. Now, those of you that have been to Iraq and Afghanistan, you know on the bases they have the bazaars every Friday. So he used to do that as a kid. And I remember being on Bagram and seeing kids hustle DVDs and whatnot, like 9, 10 years old. So eventually, he got his own shop. He got his own shop and was on a camp, and it was open every day. And then when this facility, which is a joint facility, it's a NATO facility and a U.S. embassy on the same compound, he got a chance to have his own store here. Now, what it is, it's like a market almost, where all these stores are set up side by side in these little glass buildings and whatnot. And so I'm sitting there listening to him, and I said, and his English is great, but I'm thinking if he was working since he was 7 or 8 years old, he didn't go to school. So I said, man, well, where'd you, learn such good English? Your English is great, man. He says, hey, like I said, I had to work since I was 7 or 8, and I just picked it up over time. So I began to think, because one of the things I love to do when I travel is just meet average, everyday people and hear their life story. Because when you travel around the world, you will meet people and run into individuals that come from means and circumstances and backgrounds that you have no idea, that will blow your mind. And I like to listen to people's stories and get the lesson. And I got lessons from young Muhammad's story today. Now listen, he was raised in poverty, all right? He was 7 or 8 years old. He had to go out and help his little brothers and sisters and help his parents. He didn't have a choice. The boy went out and was selling postcards. Now, at the age of 22, he has his own business. He has products, nice products. He deals with people every day. He's a professional. He has a license. What I got from that is this, the concept of potential. You see, everybody has potential. Everybody is like a seed. Inside a seed is a whole crop of seeds. But that seed has to be planted, and then from that seed, you get fruits, and you get more seeds, and you get more fruits, and you get more seeds, and over time, you have something great, but it all came from that one seed. And locked in that one seed is something called potential. And that's the same. We are all like that. Everybody has potential locked in us. The sad thing is, most of us don't even tap into our potential. Okay? We settle for mediocrity, and we live our lives like that. And that's sad. That's actually a tragedy. That's actually an insult to the Creator who put greatness in you to live your life in a mediocre state, in a state of just searching for comfort. Anyway, his circumstances forced him to tap into his abilities as a businessman to become great, to lift not only himself but his family out of poverty. And see, most of us look at our life, right? We look at what's not working. We look at what we have challenges in. We look at our circumstances. We look at what's hard. We look at what's uncomfortable. We look at what we don't like, what we hate, and we wish that we could change those things. Or we look at other people and we wish we had their set of circumstances. But I'm here to tell you that your challenges, your discomforts, the things that bother you, the things that you hate, the things that you dread when you open your eyes and you get up in the morning, those things are there to make you reach your potential. They are. Think about this. If Muhammad was not born in poverty, if he didn't have the needs of his family there in front of him, facing him every day, he would have never got out there and hustled like he did. And if he would have not got out there and hustled like he did, he would not have had a vision to one day have his own business. So listen, I just want to tell you, stop cursing your situation. Stop complaining about your challenges. Stop being mad at the fact that you were born into a family with maybe financial challenges, certain dysfunctions. Maybe you have issues with your own health and certain personal things in your life. Stop getting mad at those things and feeling sorry for yourself and cursing those things. You can take that and direct it to be a blessing to you. You see, pressure causes you to perform, which powers your potential. Some of you wouldn't even know what you were able to do until you were forced in a situation where you just had to do it, where it was a do or die situation. And that's how you discover what's in you. Nobody is born knowing what's in them. They have to discover what's in them. And one of the best ways to discover what's in you is running up against hard times. It's running up against challenges. You didn't know that you were creative until you had to create something at the last minute. You didn't know you were strong until you had a lot of stuff put on your shoulders and you were the only one that could deal with it. You were taught that you had these limits of what you can and cannot do, and then those limits were destroyed when you had to perform and do something great. So listen, I'm just taking this young man as an inspiration to me. I'm like almost twice his age, but I was looking at him and I was in awe of what he was able to do, of how he took dire circumstances and he built a business out of it. Look, he went from selling postcards to having his own store. And he didn't go to school. He didn't go to school. He had to drop out of school. And he's not in a nation where he's guaranteed rights. He's in Afghanistan, and this place has been at war for decades. But he did it. He did it. He told me his story, and he was humble. He wasn't even proud. I was amazed at this man and what he was able to do. And you know what? If he could do it, and he didn't have the opportunities and the comforts that we have, what's your excuse? That's how I'm going to leave you today.